Hey guys, it's James here, and in today's video lesson I'm going to show you a simple yet highly effective way to structure your practice routines so you can get maximum results. I'll see you inside the lesson. Hey guys, it's James here from eBassGuitar, and in today's video lesson I want to talk about one of the biggest challenges that I see so many of my students facing, and that is how to structure their practice routine. So today I want to share a concept from my book, The Essential Guide to Technique for Bass Guitar Players, called the 3M Practice System. And this is a system to help you get maximum traction and maximum results from your practice time. The reality is what I'm covering today could be applied to any instrument. It's that powerful. But before we hit the concept of the 3M practice system, I'd love to ask you guys, what is the biggest challenge you face when it comes to practicing the bass guitar? Please let me know in the comments below. The reality is the 3M practice system is very simple and very straightforward, and isn't going to take me a long time to explain to you, so this won't be the longest of YouTube lessons. And also we're going to be talking more about this over the coming months with our work at eBassGuitar. But in the meantime, if you want to discover more about this practice system, I'll put a link to my book, The Essential Guide to Technique, in the description below. So what does 3M stand for? It's very simple. It simply stands for mechanics, mind, and music. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a circle like this, and what I want to do is split this into three like so. And basically this is how we split up our practice sessions. So one area of our practice session is dedicated to mechanics. Let's write that in. The other next section is dedicated to mind, so I'm going to put that in there, like so. And then the last section is dedicated to music, and I'm going to take this apart one by one, and also at the end of this lesson show you how I'd apply this to my own personal practice. So the overarching concept here is that we divide our practice sessions into three. So if we've got 15 minutes to practice, we spend 5 minutes on each section. If we've got an hour to practice, we spend 20 minutes on each section. If we've got 3 hours, give or take, you could spend an hour on each section. But this is just a way to focus our mind. And this is a framework that I used when I was back at music college, and I've used ever since, and I know it works. And thinking back to it, I can also see it from back when I was at school and we did soccer or football training. We used to warm up for this first part of the session, then we'd do some skills, maybe dribbling the ball through cones or whatever, then at the end we'd have a game of football. So you'll see this concept used all over the place. But let's talk about how to apply it to the bass now. So mechanics is a technique, and this is all about developing our speed, our accuracy, our tone as well. So you might have heard it said that trying to play the bass guitar with a poor technique is a little bit like trying to drive a car with a flat tire. It's exactly the same concept, and we always need to be working on the facility of how our hands work. So this is an area where we could be concentrating on our fretting hand, or our plucking hand, or a combination of the two. But this is all about making sure that the hands talk together and are working as best as they possibly can. So let's look at mind next. This is all about learning something new. So this is really important. So when we talk about learning, this could be very much specific to you, but some ideas that we could cover in this area. This could be figuring out a new song. So let's put a new song. This could be, and this is a particular favorite of mine, this could be transcription. It could be harmony, so learning more about how the major scale and diatonic harmony works, practicing your scales and your arpeggios and learning the fretboard. So I'm going to just call that harmony, like that. It could be doing a course from the Bass Lab Plus if you're one of my students over there, so I'm going to put a course in there. Fundamentally, this is all about being slightly better than you were the day before and figuring out something new on the fretboard or improving your musical knowledge. So that is what we cover in the mind section. So far we've covered mechanics, and also if you're a Bass Lab Plus member, I'll put in there, taking the essential technique course will give you all of the basic fuel you'll need to accompany that section, and you can find that inside the Bass Lab Plus over at eBassGuitar. And then the mind section is all about learning, and we can cover any number of these areas and make sure that it's specific to you. So let's look at the final M of the 3M system, and this is music, and this is all about cutting loose and having fun. So I'm going to put fun under here. And I always remember one of my teachers at music college saying to me, some of the best practice I've ever done is when I thought I wasn't practicing. So that's when you're just noodling around, just experimenting, doing nothing in particular. That's when some of the biggest breakthroughs can happen. It's very similar to me of those ideas that come to you when you're in the shower. I definitely have some of my best ideas for eBassGuitar then. And so this is really super important part of your practice, is just to enjoy yourself. So you could play songs from your band set, you could just put a backing track on and groove, you could literally just play anything, but I believe this is a super important area of practice. So just to recap, we have mechanics, mind and music. Put all three of those together and give them sort of equal proportions, and you'll have a really fun and really balanced practice routine. So to start wrapping up this lesson, I think it's always really important to put any concept like this into the real world and show you how it works in practice. So now I'm going to show you how I've been applying the 3M practice system over the past few days in my practice sessions. So guys, just before I show you how I directly apply the 3M practice system to my own practice sessions, I'd love to ask you, if you're enjoying this lesson, please can you subscribe to the channel, because we release a lesson like this designed especially for the beginner to intermediate bass guitar player. There's a red button somewhere around this video so you can be the first to know when a new lesson is released. So let's look at mechanics first of all, and this is always the first part of the 3M practice system, simply because it can double as our warm-up so we can get the blood moving around our hands. So yesterday I recorded a video for eBassGuitar, and it was our Christmas video, and we covered Do They Know It's Christmas by Band Aid, and this has this incredible synth bass part in it which sounds like this. So anything that was originally played on synthesizer can often be quite hard to put onto the bass guitar because it's a machine playing it. But I know this bass line is possible, so I went back and revisited it from the ground upwards. So basically what I did is I slowed it down to begin with, and I also started using some of the chord sequences from the song to practice this pattern over. So the original song is at around about 115 BPM. So what I did to start off with is I slowed it down to 90 beats per minute. And I also made sure I was doing a very specific fingering here. So the pattern is 8th note and 2 16th notes, so like that. And I made sure I was always going 1 1 2, and I also tried to play this for extended periods of time. So let me show you. First of all, I'm going to put a metronome on at 90 BPM, like that. So that's the chord sequence from the bridge section. So at about 95 BPM, that feels really comfortable. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to slowly increase the tempo, and I'm going to take it up to 95 and see how that sounds. A little bit more challenging, and what I'm noticing is I've got to relax a little bit more to get that tempo, but it feels comfortable. So I'm going to take it now up to 100. Yeah, that feels really nice at that tempo. But I'm going to take it through a couple of other tempos now. Actually, no, let's take it right up to 115 BPM even, and you can see exactly what I'm aiming for within this little practice session. And also going through these tempos warms me up as well, so I'm ready for the next section of the 3M system. So let's get it to 115. So there you've got. If I really wanted to push that, I'd make sure I played that for 3 or 4 minutes straight. And also I pushed the tempo further, maybe up to 100 or 125. So I've got more headroom in there. But that is what I would do to approach the mechanics section and what I did been doing over the past few days. So let's look at what I've been working on for the mind or the learning section of my practice over the past few days. So about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had the great Phil Mulford, who is a wonderful British bass player, come in and deliver a live masterclass for the Bass Lab Plus students. And he introduced this concept of learning the major scale in 3 different positions. So you may have seen this before. You can play it in our home position. You can play it in the back position here, and you can also play it in the forward, or sometimes called extended position. And he also talked about applying a diatonic harmony over the top, or scales, and I talked about this in a YouTube lesson about 2 or 3 weeks back. So you can take all of the triads and arpeggios from the major scale and play them like this. Etc. But the idea that Phil imparted inside me is, why don't you try that using the forward position, which is something I've never tried before. So I've been taking those same arpeggios now and playing them in the forward position. So this is what this sounds like. Completely different set of fingering options using the notes that I already know, and the notes also fall differently under the hand. So what I've really been experimenting, and what I might do in a practice session, is just drill down into maybe 1 pair of these triads, or arpeggios rather, and see what I can discover. So what I found really interesting was doing the top 2, so the C major. What we do is we start coming backwards on that, so we go and then slide back to get the B minor 7 flat 5 like this, like that. And we have to use this extended fingering as well, which for me doesn't fall quite so naturally under the fingers. So let me play it to you again. Really nice to slide into those, but then I might choose to go all the way back using the diatonic arpeggios. Yeah, that really makes me start thinking, and I was wondering if I was going to make that with all the right notes, and thankfully I did. So this is opening up a bunch more fingering options under my hand. So what I'm doing in this mind or learning section of my practice is really here discovering something new about the fretboard and how to apply my harmonic knowledge. So let's move on to the final part of the 3M practice system, and this is music. And don't forget, this is all about cutting loose and having fun. So earlier today I recorded a video called The Very First Bass Guitar Lesson. I used a track called The Funk Station from our Absolute Beginner's Bass course, and this is inspired by bands such as Sly and the Family Stone and Wild Cherry. But it's a great track to groove and just have some fun to. It's a real classic funk tune. And Larry Graham often uses what's called these tritones, which are these thirds and sevenths which you can place all over the neck. So what I thought I'd do is I'm going to take that groove, but I'm also going to try and push a few of these in there and just experiment and see what happens, see what I can discover. It's just exploring. So I often use this as an exploration session, but you can just use this to play your favorite songs if that's what you wish. This is all about just having that fun and really enjoying the instrument. So I'm going to show you what I've been practicing with the Funksation so you can get some ideas. So guys, that's the end of today's lesson. If you've enjoyed these concepts on the 3M practice system, make sure you check out my book, The Essential Guide to Technique. Also, if you're looking to push your bass guitar playing forward specifically, make sure you jump over to eBassGuitar.com and check out the Bass Lab Plus. It's a full step-by-step syllabus designed especially for the beginner to intermediate bass guitar players. There's a link in the description below where you can join free with a 14-day trial. Cheers, I've been James from eBassGuitar.com. Catch you next time.